Hello everyone, I'm Jason Kelly, and as you can see, I use Works social media to filter out everybody. So tonight I'm going to be talking about Philadelphia's past as it relates to its industrious past and what it's growing today, and the influx of people coming into the city and what we can do about retaining them here and helping to grow the basis of artists and innovators and makers in this city. We can use this influx and this spirit to propel Philadelphia back into what it used to be as known as the world's greatest workshop. Long ago, before any of us were here, colonial Philadelphia was always known as the epicenter of things you needed: ships, furniture, silverware. Even John Adams has been noted to mention about how things you could buy in Philadelphia you could also find in London and Paris, and was always just completely astounded by the quality and the variety of things you could have here. Me personally, I come from a very varied background. I went to Rochester Institute of Technology. I'm a model maker at the business on the 7th floor of this building. I've done a lot of things. I've always been creating things. It was wood, machining, metals, what have you. I've torn apart more things I probably shouldn't have touched, and my wife has been very forgiving about the crap that piles up in the house. During the Industrial Revolution and the industrial age of Philadelphia, you could come to the city and find just about anything. The Bug Car Company built all the subway cars for SEPTA. Ford Motor Company used to be. Horn Hardin, they used to make the Automat food system, and everyone's favorite, Tasty Cakes. My own personal story comes from having a business here, a woodworking business that was Glue Line Studios, that I started with a friend of mine out of college. We pretty much took on whatever we could find. We had a great business going. We had a lot of contacts. We were getting business. We were doing custom woodworking, restoration. We did stuff for a couple of restaurants in town, but the space was getting to be very tight. By the time we were getting to a point where things were getting moving, we're trying to negotiate that piece of wood that you see in the old Marathon Grill out of a brownstone basement. So 24 feet of Jatoba Brazilian wood is hard to move out of a brownstone basement. So with that, we were trying to find a place to expand to. And nowadays, you have a lot of options to find funding, but back then, there were not many. Finding spaces was you're set to buying commercial space, which was always way too large and way too expensive. There was no real good way to lease stuff, and there was just a lot of red tape around it. Coming up with this speech, this talk tonight, I also had this idea years ago. A lot of it, I had thought by now someone would have come up with an idea for it to help people in our position, people in a small business position, to find places where they could expand their business without becoming completely oversaturated financially. Some of the examples I found here tonight will show some of that. This is Monhasset Mills in Providence, Rhode Island. It was originally a wool factory built in 1866. In 2002, four artist friends rehabbed the location and put in restrictions so that only artists could buy into the place. So it remains an artist's place. The torpedo factory in Alexandria, Virginia, used to build and make torpedoes. In 1969, the city of Alexandria had rehabbed the property into a artist and postgraduate residency space. Used volunteers to secure it, and it's a very lovely place to go visit if you're ever in Alexandria. This Crane Arts building here in town. It was built in 1905. It housed plumbing supply back then and various other things over the years. Right now it has live workspace for artists and performing artists. Two of the people who started this were also professors at Tyler Art School, and they have two other properties in Kensington to help support the local art community. Midway Artist Studio in Boston, Massachusetts is in South Boston near the Children's Museum. This was actually just finished recently, about last year, where they secured this building from the landlord at a very low price just to secure the artist space in a part of town that's quite expensive. They provide live workspaces, and part of the board of trustees are the artists that live there. The Globe Dye Works is down off Torresdale Ave. This was built in about 1865, and right now it's been rehabbed into spaces for other creative businesses. There's an ice cream maker there, there's a lithograph printers, and a classic car dealership right there for now. They do have, and this is Somerville, Massachusetts. It's a very industrial part of Massachusetts. A lot of the industrial age lived out there. This is an owner-led initiative to rehab existing unused space And with keeping prices low and its proximity to Boston, he's managed to keep a 98% occupancy rate while infusing Somerville with local artists. All these projects have a common thread. They rehab a space in their respective areas that have been blighted. They provide below market rates for most of their properties. Their impact spreads far beyond the area that they're in, either bringing in new people or revitalizing the old. So the idea that I had was to have a nonprofit organization that would allow someone who had the art, trades, or makers to have a place they can go to where there will be people to mitigate the process of being able to secure space, money, or funds without having to go through the city system. The idea would also be the buildings that would be used would be rehabbed, the neighborhoods would receive the new influx of people and ideas, and the people would stay in the city long beyond the time of when they got there, trying to revitalize some of the neighborhoods in Philadelphia. The Boston Redevelopment Authority actually comes pretty close to this. They have creative spaces that live on the fringe of some of the industrial and residential areas. They partner with the local government and the real estate developers. Their rates are kept very, very low, affordable for a lot of artists. You do go through a certification process to allow diversity to maintain itself. So what's next is the city has the spirit to get back to where it was. With the new influx of people coming into the city, the vast real estate development, there is a lot of hope and a lot of potential to bring Philadelphia back into the workshop of the world. So hopefully with doing this sort of initiative, you'll be able to, or Philadelphia will be able to, relive the days it used to have as being the workshop center of the world. And hopefully everyone's for it. Thank you.